Greetings, people of Earth. My name's Bill, and welcome to Crazy Grandad. Now, a few of you are probably looking at this thing and wondering, what in the hell is that? Well, this is the new Gearbox and center diff out of my Big Red Monster. The old Gearbox was getting a little bit tired. It was starting to sound real gritty and horrible, so it was time for a new one. So this is a nice heavy-duty reduction box with the center diff incorporated into it. And I just went with the old brushed motor that I had on it beforehand. This is old like 80s style twister motor. Really, really good motor actually. The biggest problem I've had though, and the reason I'm doing what I'm doing today, is this motor is great, and the ESC that it was running off of was great, but running 3S all the time with this speed controller and this motor, it was just giving this too much of a hard time. And I believe this has cooked probably either one or two of the MOSFETs inside, such that now if this was driving now, it would go forward, but I've got no reverse. So, and it's got that smell, I'm about to go up in smoke smell. So anyway, so this is pretty much almost garbage now. So we today are going from brushed to brushless. So this motor was actually given to me by a friend of mine, probably my biggest YouTube fan, not that kind of fan. And so yeah, we'll put this one in. I have ESC for 80 amp brushless ESC, and so this should run that okay. It should be all right. This is a bit tired. This thing's had a hard life. This was given to me by the same person, but for my purposes for this, it'll be okay, I reckon. This drivetrain, because of the amount of gearing it's got, there's not actually a lot of load on the motor itself. I think the old Gearbox was, I've got to try and think now, through to the center diff, I believe it was around about 16 to 1 from the motor to the center diff. This has worked out to, when I did the math on this, it's somewhere around 37 to 1. So like more than double the reduction. Still gets along all right, but it just offers a lot more real slow throttle control and stuff like that. So what we'll do is, well, I suppose probably first things first, I'll show you what sort of led us up to this point, so you can sort of see where it was sitting in the truck, and then we'll see about getting it torn down, and we'll just check and see how these gears have been going, because I've only made this sort of a month or so ago, so it'd be good to just check in and see what's going on in there, make sure everything's okay, and we'll do the motor swap. So let's get into it. Okay, so first up we'll see about getting the body cage off, get some pins out. Now typically when I take this off, I normally take the steering and just manipulate it to the right a little bit, because up at the front servo saver there, you'll see a little notch in the cage, and when I don't move the steering, it always gets caught on the way off, which is exactly what it's about to do now. I even put my thumb on it and I still didn't, yeah, whatever. Alright, so we got that off. Next up we'll see about getting my highly precision made, incredibly professional motor lead off and out the road. That was a bit of a quick makeshift when I first made the gearbox. Then we'll see about poke things a little bit. Yep, cool. And now we'll yank the steering, which is what I should have done before. Alright, let's see about getting the speed controller off. as I said, this is a little 42 millimeter fan that's screwed down on top of the old ESC, and it's screwed down into a little, there's like a 3D printed tray that held the brushed ESC and also the radio receiver. Bit of a quick fumble around there. Yeah, cool. Screws everywhere. All good. Get all that dragged out. Unplug that one. That's actually a Tamiya plug which sends the main power through for the light bar up front. Yep, grubby, gross. Look at that. Just an El Cheapo Chinese brushed ESC. And we'll just shove all that up in your grill just in case, you know, because no one's ever seen a fan before. Now, I don't exactly know what was going through my mind here. That little 3D printed tray eventually ended up having to, it was always going to be coming out. So all of this cleaning that I'm doing now seems somewhat academic. And I really went to town, like I really got stuck in there cleaning, and I don't know why. Yeah, air dust a whole lot, went nuts with it. I don't know what I was thinking. It's like, alright, yeah, right, get it all tidy, get it all clean. Get in there. Mild rage moment when the ex-wife's toothbrush wouldn't fit in there, had to get a smaller one. Bloody, yeah. I'm only joking. That's not my ex-wife's toothbrush. Yet. So yeah, went in there, bit of dusting, get rid of cobwebs, yeah, make it all nice and clean, and I mean, it all got unscrewed and thrown away anyway, so, you know, who cares? I'll get her flipped over, get the screws out of the bottom so we can unbolt the gearbox. Some of you may be wondering, Bill, why do you have a light on the back of your screwdriver? Well, it's obvious, I would have thought. It's in case I need to back out a screw in the middle of the night, in the dark. It's a reverse light. Doesn't yours have one? That one out there. Now this is always, when I unscrew this, it's a bit of a pain in the backside because that's now fallen away from the floor of the truck, and I kind of have to be, it's fiddly to flip it back over without gearboxes and shafts and stuff going everywhere, so we'll just cut straight to right way up. We get gearbox out now. That's all it is, 6 screws and bang, she's out in your hand. Get the drive shafts out of the way. Yeah, that's it. Wave it around under your nose, Bill. Alright, that's enough. Put it away. Get rid of it. Put it on the bench, Bill. Stop fiddling with it. Put it on the bench. Now. Do it. Okay. Give the old dog bones a quick clean up. A little bit of grease and stuff on the ends of them, plus the mandatory cat hair, which is the norm. There we go, get rid of that. I always like to just give them just a quick look, just see make sure they're wearing alright, make sure they're not too scrubbed up from dirt or sand or whatever. Alright, so that's the brushless ESC that's going in. I couldn't even tell you what brand it is, I'm not sure. As I said, it was given to me, so I think it might be a Hobby Wing, I'm not sure. And there we go, you know, because no one's ever seen an electric motor before. 3215 kV. So now it's time to sort of try and figure out where this ESC is going to live. because it's obviously twice the size of the old one. So for those of you that don't speak fluent mime, I'll translate. So obviously we've got a problem here with that's going to bash into that steering arm. And when things like that happen, things happen. So we're going to have a bit of a think about how we're going to make room for this. Obviously my little peanut brain hadn't taken into account that 3D printed thing underneath was going to be going missing. So step 1, zoom in. Step 2, twizzle it around a bit. Step 3, just start farting around and trying to come up with solutions that just make absolutely no sense. So it's only that corner, even though it didn't end up really being a problem anyway afterwards. So we'll sit there, we'll have a look, and maybe, I don't know, play tic-tac-toe with it a little bit. Yeah, no, that hasn't done anything. Can't leave it there, Bill. That's not going to work there because the drive shaft's got to go through there. Yeah. Maybe if I move it over a bit. Okay, drive shaft. That's just, alright, in situ. Okay, that's cool. But now where are you going to put your battery? Oh, shit, that's right. It's about at this point that my head at that time had run out of ideas. So there we go. Now that we're all up to speed where that was and where it was situated, yeah. So I basically I've turned everything around more or less. I wanted to try and get a bit more weight up to the front of the truck. Yeah, it was somewhat tail heavy. So when you were climbing and stuff like that, you had a tendency just the front end to get loose, and then it shows over. So I thought before we start pulling that apart, I'll just sort of briefly go through what the old reduction box was like, which was a little bit makeshift. So this was the original like mounting for the center diff in the truck. So this would have mounted right next to the nitro motor, and then you had your brake disc packs on either side. Obviously, this is one of the spare diffs I've got. It's just got a crown gear on it, not like the big ring gear. And then next to that, I mounted this. So this is I printed this out of nylon, so really nice and tough. So this stood up really well. No cracks, no nothing like that. But yeah, that basically just mounted up alongside about there, without getting in the way of anything. And at the time I had the gear that's in there driving the actual diff now, which is like it's a little nylon pinion out of a office copier or something. I don't know. I don't know. It had the same tooth pitch as the diff, so I used it. And then, so yeah, like a little lay shaft with that and with this. And I believe this was another cog that was probably out of the same printer. But that's actually helical. Very, very fine teeth on it. And it was good. It was really, really quiet. But it didn't take well to getting dirty. And also as a result of that, this used to be on a stepper motor. So obviously that was, to get that on the motor shaft, that was a heat and beat because there's no grub screw on it. So it was nice and quiet. But then because all of this was quite open, you can imagine that was sitting in there type thing. And I made this little cover for it, but that didn't do a whole lot. For the most part, it was all basically still open. So you get all sorts of crap and crud in there, which you can see, like I haven't cleaned it. It's just disgusting in there. It's all full of just ground up dirt, basically. The other advantage I did have, which I need to figure out once I've done all of this, which I haven't sort of looked at yet, is my battery has got to move, because when this was in there, which it obviously isn't anymore, this was my battery tray, like my battery saddle. So this holds one of my 3S lipos, no dramas, and that used to sort of just sit on top, screw on top like that. That wasn't a problem, with a couple of straps around it. But yeah, so that's yeah, null and void now. I've got nowhere to put it, so I will be making a new battery holder. So fun times. So yeah, that was the old gearbox. Let's get that out of the road. Most of that's junk now, and that. So, and then obviously started, put that over there. These are just a few prototype bits from, you know, designing this. So yeah, these were just knocked up out of PLA. This is the hub that goes onto one of the gears. There's actually two Tamiya gears in here. One of them is joined to a article identical to this, and that's actually a diff gear out of a Wild Willy, my old vintage Wild Willy, yeah, which the centre of the gear got chewed out in a Wild Willy related mishap. So that got made up just as a gear carrier, and then we got a couple other bits and pieces. So yeah, like where the diff centre goes, lay shaft goes in through there. So it basically all goes together in layers, more or less. So that was all the prototyping bits, which led us up to this. So probably what we'll do is we'll get this apart. I'll be interested to see what's going on inside of here, because as I said, it wasn't that long ago that I made this. So yeah, I'm keen to see how everything's going. I've decided to put the little electric screwdriver down because it's just too bloody slow. This thing's a lot quicker. I just got to remember not to do stuff up with this, otherwise it'll just strip everything. There's no insert, like no brass insert nuts in any of this. It's literally, I've been able to, believe it or not, as long as you're gentle, you can just thread into the old into the plastic. But yeah, you'll notice that obviously there's lots of like nice big rings of bolts around everything, and that's where you can make up for it by not, you know, instead of having say 2 or 3 bolts with inserts in them, you can use a lot and just thread into the plastic, as long as you're careful. So there we go, center diff. That's the first lay shaft, and then the second lay shaft runs off of that. So it's a double reduction. And yeah, I was trying to find my numbers for when I was working out the ratios. I'm pretty sure the old reduction, when it was this thing, the other gearbox, I think it was like 16.2 to 1. So that's motor to center diff. And then you've got another 4.5 to 1 on the axle diffs. So a fair bit of reduction there. And I believe from memory, I couldn't find my my bit of paper with my arithmetic on it. I think this has come out at it's like almost 37 to 1. It's 36 point something to 1 from motor to there. So that's, you know, that's not bad. Not bad. So as we can see, it just basically comes apart in layers. You'll see some funky colours as we go through, because contrary to popular belief, this was not printed this colour. It was printed all sorts of weird and wonderful colours and then painted. So there we go, center diff, and then printer, bloody, office copier gear, whatever it is. So we could probably, do I pop that out or not? Oh, there we go. Oh, that's looking alright. Whoops, just throw everything all over the place. Everything's relatively clean. The grease is all still clean. Little bit of a little bit of a rub down there, but that's all right. That's made a bit of a bum dent for itself, so that's fine. That's all right. Yeah, the parts I designed in Onshape. It's pretty much my go-to these days. Alright, so now we've got that off, then we have a stationary shaft here. And now's where we get into Tamiya country. Excuse me. Okay, so that was the Wild Willy diff gear. So the center of that is completely flogged out, but it's got this other bit that's been glued into it that allows it to fix onto that shaft. So there's our number one reduction, and then the Wild Willy gear then runs on to the next one, which I will start unscrewing the other side. And the other side is the lay gear out of a vintage Tamiya Hornet. It's a proper Hornet, not the bloody Toys R Us version. So I really need to dig out all my old Tamiya parts, and because all my old vintage Tamiya stuff is in a million pieces, and it'd be interesting to try and dig all the bits out and see even if I can just build them as a couple of non-running shelf queens. Alright, so there we go, there's the next spacer. Get these out of the road a bit, make a bit of room. And then there's a spacer here. So that one would sit like that. There's a little recess on the bottom for the dog bone coupler. Alright, so and then there's our Super Hornet lay gear. Is it going to come off, or is it not going to come off? Yes, it is. There we go. And then we're down to the motor. So that's just a stationary 5mm shaft. Everything's obviously very heavily greased. So let's get that motor out. Anyone watching with OCD is about to have a shit fit, because one of these screws is a cap-headed hex screw. And most of you will just go, oh, who cares? As long as it works, doesn't matter. But anyone, because I'm a little bit OCD myself sometimes with stuff like this, we've got a cap-headed hex screw, and then the other one's a Phillips head. So all my OCD brethren out there, please forgive me. And the other thing I need to do when I put the other motor in is I need to whack a couple of washers under these bolts, because when I first assembled this, I did not, and by the looks of things, my little screws have dug themselves a nice little bum dent in the print. I don't know how well you can see it. There's just a nice little gouge in there from the bolt head. So we're going to have to do something about that. No, not that one, Bill. That one. That can sit there. I believe there's 15 teeth. 16 teeth. 16 tooth pinion. So yeah, the old 80s, there we go, the old 80s twister motor. Great motor. Yeah, I've had this floating around. This has been going in and out of parts boxes ever since I was a kid, practically. Yeah, and I've rewound it as well. So this thing's like, yeah, it's stupid fast. It's pretty much just like a short circuit with a shaft through the middle. But it is now superfluous to my needs, so back in the box it goes until the next harebrained project. All right, brushless motor. So yeah, the design wasn't much of an issue. It was pretty sort of pretty straightforward. Main thing you just got to keep in mind when you're doing stuff like this with gears is just make sure you get your centers right for your shafts, or like your gapping, your spacing for your actual gears. You don't want them meshed too loose, and you don't want them meshed too tight. Now, if you've got something like this where it's the motor, where it's on a couple of slots, yeah, sure, you can move it, no dramas. But as you can see, all the rest of this is completely non-adjustable. It is where it's got to be. So, yeah, you got to sort of put your watchmaker's hat on and basically get it right the first time. Now, orientation. I reckon I'm going to go that way. Yeah, I think if I go that way, then that way my motor wiring won't interfere with my light bar wiring, which is something else I need to suss out when I come around to wiring everything up. A little bit of extra wiring for power for the light bar. Get a washer on there. Damage is kind of already done, but so the hope here is, yeah, this speed controller and motor were gifted to me by a very good friend of mine. And the plan is, even though I've got more reduction than I used to have, this should, with the extra reduction, but with the extra rev range in the motor, it should still give me a similar sort of top speed, which wasn't overly fast, but, you know, whatever. But this will give me a lot more low down, slow rev control. Let's not lose that little bush. That would suck if that went missing. Okay. Alright, let's get that gapped nicely. Lovely. Beautiful. Not too loose, not too tight. Beautiful. Lovely. So basically all I've done, I've just brought that pinion back down so she sort of almost sits flush with that gear there. It just gives us a little bit more tickle room around inside the gearbox, so that it's not likely to run into anything else, because that would be bad. Now we can get a couple of just starter bolts in, basically just to sort of help locate everything as we go. Probably since the last time you saw the big red thing in action, I've touched up all the diffs, plus this one, the spare one. So yeah, all the diffs now are like really, really tight. I actually I have a bit of a secret sauce that I put in my diff centers. It's not like a grease as such. Well, it is, but it is not. And it's I call it my diff snot, because it's thick. It's what's the word? It's almost waxy, I suppose. Probably got the consistency of Vegemite, if I had to compare it to something. So if you've got an open diff, if you don't particularly want to spool it, because I'm really not keen on putting lock diffs in this thing just because it's so heavy. You can still have your diffs, but basically have a limited slip action to it. All right, let's pop that on there. Let's see how we're turning. Oh, listen to that. Beautiful. Rock and roll. And no, I didn't wind up with this motor because it's red, because it matches or anything like that. Purely coincidental. I know what you're thinking. Let's give that a quick wipe off. Some of these parts were actually just printed up out of pretty much like leftover bits of filament I had on the end of spools and stuff. Sometimes good when you've got small print jobs. If you sort of think, oh well, I'm going to paint it anyway. I'm not too fussy about the colour. It's a good opportunity to go through your filament inventory, and if you're 3D printing, and use up some, what's the word, offcuts, I suppose. I'm going to run these in with a gun, but I'm going to run them in very, very gently. Just like that. Finish them off by hand. Oh, come on, fingers, play the game. 1, 2, 3, 4. Never a bad idea to, if you're doing a job like this, pulling something apart. It's got lots of fiddly little bits. I've printed a few of these little trays. I've just knocked up a few of these. They're handy. They stop stuff getting lost. And that's not OCD me talking. That's just, I've lost that much stuff in the past from stuff getting knocked off of desktops or benches or whatever. That you soon get accustomed to being a little bit more organised with your fasteners and bits and pieces, stuff that can just roll off the edge of the table. Okay, this is looking good. Too easy. I'm quite looking forward to seeing how this goes. What's going on there? Looking like a bloody gearbox now. Right, let's tweak those up a little bit. Not real tight. Those ones, did those. I don't know whether I mentioned it before, this is all done out of PETG. So obviously not as brittle as PLA or something like that. I don't have any nylon left, otherwise I probably would have tried to do it out of nylon, even though nylon's an absolute prick to print with. There you go, look at that. Geez, I don't think I knew what I was doing. Yeah, nylon would have been good, but PETG's, I'm going to say, a good second best. It's pretty tough. And it deals with, you know, bloody grease, oil, any sort of cleaning products that I'm likely to throw at this thing. As you may well have noticed, I do prefer to keep my shit clean, so everything I have has to be clean worthy or easy to clean or stuff like that. But as you can see, this is completely, entirely closed in. So it's completely protected from dirt. There's no grot in there. Oh, I love that sound. So that is good to go in. So I suppose we'll mount it up and stick some power through it and see what happens. So I was just about to go and throw it in the truck, and then, I don't know, sensible me said just give it a quick bench test first, and yeah, no, it's running okay. It's a little bit whiny, I think probably because I've disturbed bits and pieces. I don't know, it's a bit noisier than it was the other day, but given what it did the other day, I would say that it's probably, once it's been running a little bit, it'll smooth out. It's in here it's reasonably thin grease. But yeah, it spins up quite nicely. It sounds noisy because it's on the bench. Hang on a second. That's better. So you still got that high revs if you want it. But then we got that nice crawl as well. So that is primo. That's a win for me. I'm loving that. So we'll get her bolted into the truck. And yeah, job's a good one. Okie bloody dokie. Everything's back in, as awkward as it was to remount everything. As you may have seen before, when miming me earlier on was sort of debating where to put the ESC. Half the problem was, well, beforehand I had this little 3D printed dealio, which had the RX in here and the old speed controller in there with the fan actually screwing it down. And that was living there on the base plate. Obviously, this speed controller is like twice the size. So that's now superfluous to my needs. So I'll probably do another one because I like this little thing. I've actually got a tube that I run the antenna up for the RX, so I do like that. So I'll probably do something similar to that, but just, I don't know, just leaves room for this. I don't know, the RX is going to have to go somewhere else. So basically, that's where this is going to live from now on. Pretty much, it can't. I'm really pushed for room. You wouldn't think so on something this size, but the aim of the game here in the beginning was, 1, get more reduction, and I've got that. 2, get more weight up the front. I've achieved that. And one of my other objectives was to get the battery down lower because it used to sit right up on top of everything. So with that down, if I can, I want to try and tuck that in as close as I can into here, so that the cage will still wrap around it and it's not too heavy on that side. And yeah, so that's kind of how it's going to go. So the RX is going to have to find a new home, but that's not the end of the world. So I just spun it up before. It's running well. We'll fire it up. And I don't know if any of you noticed, but there wasn't actually a switch on this before, so I took 5 minutes to solder a new switch on. Let us do its little, there we go. Lovely. And then if I really give it the beans, so yeah, that's going well. I'm happy with how that's come out. That is absolutely a win. So we've just got to make a few parts to mount a few bits and pieces. I need to splice into the main wiring for this little Tamiya plug here. So that's the main power that goes through to the light bar. Yeah, the light bar's like runs straight off the LiPo. So all in all, I think we've done well. So with that, thank you very much for watching and coming on this little ride with me. And I guess we'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.